Okay, everybody. Week 5 of the NFL season is here, and we really need to get our rooting guide sorted out because the Seahawks don't even play this week. We've got a bye week, a good bye week, as it turns out. We're very happy to be on the bye right now. So we got to figure out what we want out of these other games because in the absence of Seahawks football, we're going to need to try to find something. So let's go ahead and open her up and take a look. We have a Thursday night game, Bears versus Commanders. I personally would love it if the Bears would mess around and find a way to win a game at some point. They're no threat to a playoff spot. I think we've already well determined that. That team is not going to go on any kind of some magical run and compete for a playoff spot. So every win they can bank is just one less win for the other teams in this league. Very rarely will I be not rooting for the Bears this year because I think they are, through 4 games, clearly the worst team in football. And the Commanders lost 2 in a row, but clearly there's something going on there. They took Philly to OT, kind of got hosed in that game. They could threaten for a playoff spot. That's not out of the question. They are playing decent football. So the more they can lose, the better. Knock them out early. Sunday, we have an early game, Jaguars at Bills. It's an international game, though, so it's actually a neutral site. I got nothing for this one, guys. I don't know what to say about this one. Jaguars, Bills, whichever. Doesn't seem to affect us in any appreciable way. I can't think of any rooting interest here, so follow your heart. And then we get to the 10 a.m. slot. We got Texans taking on the Falcons. This one's easy. Texans, we need them to keep banking wins so they get that Cardinals pick down the order. And I got to tell you, they are doing their job so far. They are doing their job so far. This Texans team looks like they're going to be okay this year, which is big. Relieved about that one. And they're playing the Falcons, who have a very easy schedule and have a chance to be a wild card, maybe even division winning contender for all we know in the NFC. So knock them down, push them down, have them take some L's, and it'll make the later path all that much easier. Panthers at Lions. Panthers obviously 0-4. That's another team that we can safely hope they win some games. Now, is it likely this week? Of course not. But while we're here, I think it's pretty clear that we should want the Lions to take some L's. If the Lions win the division, there's a small chance we end up competing with them for seeding. And if they don't win the division, then we're almost definitely going to end up competing with them for a wild card. So let them lose. So yeah, definitely rooting for the Panthers there. The Panthers at this point, I think we can safely write them off as any kind of a playoff threat so they can bank a few wins here and there and it doesn't really mean anything. Titans, Colts. Well, we play the Titans this year. So I guess we want the Titans to win for strength of schedule purposes. That's all I can figure out there. I don't see how that Colts team can really affect the Seahawks at all. If you still want to trade for a player on the Colts, then I guess you want them to keep losing as well. But I'm pretty over that, and I think a lot of Seahawks fans are pretty over that. And honestly, this Colts team is probably a little too good to fire sale right now anyway. Next up at 10 a.m., we have Giants Dolphins. Now, the Giants are in close contention. Close contention for worst team in the league. So I don't know if they're any kind of a threat to the Seahawks or anybody for a playoff spot at this point. But they are playing an AFC team in the Dolphins. So typically speaking, you will root for the AFC team. Now, if the Giants win, then that helps the Seahawks' strength of schedule. So there's a little bit of an argument going the other way, but just to be safe, because it's early in the season, the Giants were pretty good last year, and at the end of the day, I don't want to get too far ahead of myself here. I think we want the Dolphins to win, but it seems pretty low stakes because that Giants team has just looked so miserable through 4 games. It's really hard to imagine them contending for a playoff spot right now. Saints Patriots, this is another easy one, NFC on AFC. We need the Saints to take some L's right now while they don't have a car. And the Patriots, I mean, they need one. They need one badly. So I think this one's pretty clear cut here. If we want that third round pick, I know it's just a third round pick, but if we're trying to find things to root for, that third round pick is better than nothing. And while we're here, the Saints are an NFC team anyway, so I think we'd be pulling for the Patriots regardless here. Ravens, Steelers, we play both teams. Doesn't really affect strength of schedule because we play both. With AFC teams, nothing, not a dang thing. So, whichever, either way, Ravens, Steelers, whoever you want to root for, root for. That gets us to the afternoon slate. Because of the bye weeks, we're going to have fewer games than we usually do, so we quickly get to the afternoon games. And we start off with, I consider this to be a pretty easy one anyway, Eagles-Rams. The Rams are playing just good enough to where we can't dismiss them. And I know it's weird to even suggest that because they beat us so bad week one, but either way. The Rams are playing decent football right now. I still don't think that's a good team, but they're not a terrible team right now. So therefore, I think we got to continue to take them as a threat in the NFC somewhat seriously until they show otherwise. So we're rooting for the Eagles. I know we don't want to see the Eagles run away with the NFC, but the odds of it affecting the Seahawks are still somewhat low. And the Rams, I think, could be far more disruptive to the Seahawks down the line, especially because they already beat us once, than the Eagles could be. Next afternoon game will be Bengals-Cardinals. Cardinals continue to play competent football, so we can't completely dismiss them yet. And they're playing an AFC team anyway, so this is a pretty easy pull for the Bengals type game. The one thing I would say is that if the Cardinals can bank a couple more wins, that takes them out of the Caleb sweepstakes or the Caleb trade haul sweepstakes. So that's also desirable. But I'm also thinking about this in terms of the Bengals are going to play us in a week, and I don't need that team being completely desperate for a W. If they could bank this win here, get to 2-3, I think that's a little bit different than playing a Bengals team that is 1-4 and basically just trying to salvage their season at that point. Like every game is a must-win game. So yeah, I'm going to say we want the Bengals to win here, and we just hope the Cardinals can bank a couple wins later down this line. Jets, Broncos, AFC teams. So I guess we just want the Jets to win because of the draft pick thing, with the Broncos potentially giving us their third rounder, as unlikely as that is. So yeah, I can't think of any other angle here. We don't play either team this year, so it really just comes down to that draft pick situation. So I guess it's the Jets. Chiefs at Vikings. Now, you want to say that the Vikings are not a threat to to get a playoff spot this year at this point, but if they were to somehow win this game, that's 2-3. That's not that bad. 2-3 is not a death sentence quite yet. And I know 0-3 seems like one, but then suddenly you're working your way back up, and boom, suddenly you're like, wow, this team could actually backdoor something here. So even though I know Seahawks fans love to root against the Chiefs, and I understand it, and this certainly isn't a major stakes game, I think you got to be pulling for the Chiefs here to get the win, and the Vikings to get pushed further out of the playoff picture in the NFC. The Chiefs being good or bad really has no effect on the Seahawks that I can think of, objectively speaking. All right, so now we've got the Sunday night game, and this is a big one. This is definitely in contention for Game of the Week. And Cowboys-Niners, little bit difficult to decipher here, but I feel okay here. Way I see it, the Seahawks are playing good enough right now to where we can't give up on the division completely. Maybe you could say we can give up on winning the number one seed, but we are a game behind the Niners right now. If we've got this bye week to get healthy, some of these games that we thought were going to be really hard are looking like they may not be that hard. I think you got to go for it a little bit here and hope the Cowboys win, which is dangerous. But at the same time, the Cowboys are very likely to be a wild card team whether or not they win this game. So they may as well take this opportunity to knock the Niners down a notch and maybe open the door for us to catch them before this season is over. So it's tight. Like there is an argument to be made for pushing the Cowboys down. I understand that. You want to push the Cowboys down, get them out of the wild card hunt a little bit. But I think we are still going to have optimism that we can win this division. So I think we want the Cowboys to win. Monday Night Football, final game of the week. We got Packers, Raiders, AFC on NFC violence. This one's easy. We're rooting for the Raiders here, rooting for Garoppolo or Aiden O'Connell to knock the Packers down. The Packers don't seem like a real playoff threat right now, but 2-2 is not 2-2 is not a death sentence by any stretch, and that team has shown that they are capable of some positive things. So yeah, pretty clear cut there. So a lot of compelling games, a lot of AFC on NFC games here, and I think that pretty well encapsulates everything that we want to happen in week number 5. So let me know if you think I missed anything or got anything wrong. I will see you guys later. Go Hawks, and there is your week 5 Seahawks recommended rooting guide.